Okay, I understand adding the island. I know when we brought this up first time, people worried that the village of Estero was. Actually, we weren't. Actually, we weren't. I don't know. I just think we could do better than that. Creative.
Creative is Bay Oaks.
That's not creative.
But I think we all agree that we wanted
A
Bay Oaks,
change.
not a change from
Yes.
Bay Oaks. So I think we can
Indeed.
start the conversation to say, you know, assuming that none of us really want to keep the name Bay Oaks. Because it doesn't describe what it is we do, that we can have the conversation going.
I don't think that we had any sentimental feeling that we needed to keep the name Bay Oaks.
You don't need to keep the name Fort Myers Beach either, frankly. Why can't we be Estero Island?
Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Well, Lee, what do you
That's
suggest?
been done
Yeah.
before.
Give us an
Several
idea. What are you
times.
talking about?
Well, I would like to incorporate something islandy. I was just jotting some things down off the top of my head. Probably most of them are silly, but you know, something different.
Like what?
Well, they tried to do it uptown, and it was awful. Calusa Sound.
Oh, yeah, downtown.
I mean, that's pretty awful. I had a thought that came and went real quick, but something that I jotted down a name, Harbor Light. We're a harbor here. We have a big harbor. Estero Bay is a harbor. And I think this place can be a light to the community. It's just a thought, but something just different without a town name. You know, we're known also as Estero Island. I mean, I don't.
Right?
Or Fort Myers Beach and on Estero Island. I don't know. I just think we need to get more creative. Something different.
I think about what it is that somehow a name has to describe all of those. So it's more than a community center. It's more than a gym. It's more than a park. How is that described? Is that a wellness center? I mean, that almost sounds too much like a, you know, like a fitness, you know, a commercial fitness facility. So it is a very complicated question for us to grapple with, because
Right.
we will be offering so much. Even hopefully, you know, amphitheater, which is basically performing arts. So it bears a lot of thought. I think ideas, however wild they may seem, certainly should all be considered.
Well, I agree, but I think if we end up with a performing arts center, I think it should be, I think people should understand there's a performing arts center here.
Right.
And I think probably it needs to be called the Performing Arts Center at Estero Island Community Center or whatever.
Well, Sanibel Island just opened facility 2 weeks ago, and it is not only a visual, but also a performing arts complex, and they called it Big Arts Complex, because it really encompasses both the visual and performing arts. Artists had a similar, grappling situation, because theirs was a performing arts philharmonic, and then they also had a museum, and how were they going to grapple with combining those two entities? And they came up with artists, which I think most people realize is really a lame solution, but in any event, it bears a lot of thought. And maybe this might be a conversation for us to be having with the branding folks that we've already got under contract before they wrap up their job.
Sanibel is Sanibel Community House. That's what their
And that
their
says
community
what they
center. Of
are.
course, it's separate from the rec area.
So now they
3 miles separate.
Right.
Now they have, yes, Becky, to your point, now they have 3 facilities. They have a separate visual and performing arts facility, then they have a community center, and then they have the recreation complex in all 3 very separate locations.
They call it Community House. I don't know why. Sanibel Community House instead of.
Facility
Sanibel.
or,
Yeah,
yeah,
community
yeah.
center.
It
I
conjures-
wondered house, why?
It conjures up a more intimate environment, which I think is actually quite charming.
it is.
Of course, I'm always, sorry, but I'm always throwing in something from the comp plan. And of course, that's supposed to be the heart of the island. And so when you think of it, if you think of it as the heart, and then you can have the rec center at the heart, arts center at the heart. I mean, I don't, something where it's the heart, it's the heartbeat of the island, it's the pulse of the island. And it gives you a lot of things to sort of brand off of that. But everything is something at the heart, something at the heart. It is the heart of the island. That is at the,
Yeah, I do too.
that is, I don't know exactly how you would direct that. It could have a really cute logo of some sort, and, the island itself with just a little heart there, I don't know. But at any rate, and everything at the heart. Yeah.
It conjures up a physical health thing because of the cardiology, you have the heartbeat.
The healthy heart.
Right.
And the
yes,
heartbeat
yes,
of
I
the
like
island.
it.
Right.
Exactly.
You could really
I
play
like
off,
it.
that's a great idea.
Arts,
Yeah.
arts at the heart, whatever.
Right. I like that.
Yeah,
Well, all
That's
right.
the great
that's
idea.
beautiful.
Don't thank me, thank the comp plan.
Well, I've never understood the heart of the island, frankly. I'm sorry, but I'm lost on that. I don't understand the whole concept of that. I don't understand the name. I think, well, I'm not gonna speak for most people, but I think an awful lot of people will tell you the heart of the island's down there at Times Square. So I don't understand the whole thing.
That's the commercial center, but this is gonna be the
Well,
cultural.
yeah, well,
Yes.
the commercial center is pretty
Yes.
much it, between here and Santini Plaza. The rest of it's residential. I don't understand that.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, Lee, is we're trying to make a center that is the community center that's not just drinking and sunsets, which is great. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
That is a vital part of the island, but we are so much more than that. And you've got history at the heart. You got,
Library.
Well,
you got the library, you
church.
got the church.
You're right about the history, and I have tried for years to get somebody to agree that that neighborhood there is the historic
Historic.
neighborhood of this island. It has a lot of the historic buildings. It has, that is the historic neighborhood, as I like to call it. So, I think for that area, historic neighborhood is much more understandable than the heart of the island. It's the historic neighborhood.
What about cultural center? Because that, it brings in all of the different things that we're trying to do, recreation, community, arts, amphitheater. It's all part of our culture.
I agree.
But what's the name?
We've
What's
talked,
the full name?
Well, I do love the Estero Island piece of it, So if it was Estero Island Cultural Center versus Community Center, just, I don't know, it gives more of an artsy feel to it.
Like it,
Or-
but it doesn't include the rec aspect, the recreation aspect in cultural. Cultural, you expect a museum, you expect performing arts,
Cultural,
but not
social.
athletic. I would,
Yeah.
if, to combine it would be perfect. I like the sound cultural center, yes, but it just doesn't work for the rec center.
Doesn't say what it is that what you're saying?
Yep. I mean, we want people, in spite of Lee, there are people who do not know that Bay Oaks exists. This is the truth. And you have to have something that catches their attention, that they understand immediately what it is. Because if people come to the island, maybe to retire, maybe on vacation, they don't read the beach newspaper, they do not know Bay Oaks is there. I guarantee.
Well, and I think that the idea of this is the heart of the island, and that's been in the comp plan from the very beginning. And like anything we get from Sarah, all says heart of the island. And I think it's just bringing it forth.
Well, what does that mean? Somebody tell me what that means,
All right,
the heart
Lee,
of the
let
island.
me
What
kind
does
of,
that mean?
all right, think about it. It's mid-island. It's the actual physical heart of the island because it's in the middle. It's not the short end and the long end, as we used to call it, if you remember,
Exactly.
And so it's the middle of the island, and here you have municipal activities. You've got the town hall, you've got the library, you've got the historic center, you've got the Matanzas Past Preserve, you've got Bay Oaks, you've
Got the
got all
school.
of that in a very, very tight location. And so building on that and having it as its own entity, separate and apart from the entertainment district and the South End condo district, if you will, seems to me provides an additional identity marker for the island that can't be anything but good. Why would that ever be a bad idea?
Bad idea to me because I don't understand what it means. I'm sorry, I just don't. The heart.
I was thinking,
It can be the
This-
heart. It
yeah, I
is the
know,
heart.
heart.
The library,
it's the center of activity,
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of.
yeah.
But I was thinking this could be put out to the town, for the town to name it, but we don't have a building yet. Let's, if we get a building, then we could put it out to the town. I think it would be good publicity for them to submit names and make a contest of it, of naming the new rec center.
So they would feel a part of it.
But we have to have
Yeah.
a building first,
We will.
I was looking up on Thesaurus synonyms for rec center. Centro Sportivo.
Okay.
That's one.
Sports center. Cultural and sports center. How about cultural and sports center?
Cultural and sports center, yeah. Training ground base. Some of these, I don't even know what they are.
Maybe it
Civic
can be
center.
an acronym that could define more specifically, combining all of these things and having a really cool tag or logo that would be the acronym for the.
I just think we should stay somewhere with community. I mean, it is bringing the community together. You've lived here a long time. You know it used to be very much the center and very much the heart. And so, to me, I think community is a word that people understand. It's easy. They're like, it's a place where people come together.
You could use the
Exercising.
O of community, it was a heart.
Yeah, there you go.
Combine it all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just my feeling on it.
Because when you do look up synonyms for community center, I mean, it's everything we're talking about. It's art house, it's amphitheaters, it's auditorium, culture, baseball club, I mean, it's got everything that we
That we
have
will
been
have.
talking about,
Right.
yes. Yeah.
Oh, I agree, but I've always agreed that it should be a community center, or a recreation center. I don't know, I don't think we have to settle on a name today.
No.
Oh, I don't think so either.
Because we're a
No.
long way, I mean, the council, the town staff or whoever, they haven't even started the process that I know of. I mean, we haven't even really, have we talked to the county? Have we talked to the school board? I mean, we have. Has there been any agreements or?
There's initial conversations between
Initial
the mayor, the
conversations.
town manager, and county commission.
Okay, so we got there's a lot of things to do here, not the least of which is finding the money eventually down the road, which I think is there, so there's a lot of things to do here, and we don't have to come up with a name today, because I still want to fight this
We
thing.
just needed a discussion. It has to
Right.
start.
I still
Yeah.
want to get in the way of this idea of part of the island.
I like the idea of the O being a heart, like Estero Island Community Center with a heart right in the middle of all of that. I thought that was a good suggestion.
Well,
The Cerro Island Community and Sports Center, but it's getting pretty long.
You know,
well, we'd have to have something that shortens it, I mean, that people would refer to.
Allison, do you think there's any benefit, since we've got the branding folks at our disposal now, though, to at least make some short list of some ideas and see if they hop on something or can help
Yeah.
give some
ye-
professional guidance?
Yes, I don't know what their scope is, but I think it would be a really great idea to do that, for sure. I'll have to check with Amy. I can let you all know. But I can definitely inquire about that and see if they,
Because I think that was part of their scope, is to address the issue of all of the island properties, which obviously includes Bay Oaks, with regard to branding. So it would seem to me that this would be
right within their scope.
conversation to have with them before.
I will look and see what those specifics are, for sure.
so, Barbara, you're on the Mound House. The TDC and the town in the past has been big on this concept of tourism, working history and historical in with tourism. What do they call it? I forget.
Yeah, cultural tourism,
Ecotourism, I mean, there's a lot of different.
yeah, names,
But there was a big,
heritage tourism.
what?
I mean, TDC has all kinds of, like Barbara said, cultural tourism, heritage
Arts and
tourism.
attractions is
Well,
what
the Mound House became part of this idea of tourism and history, and
It's an attraction.
And that's what this should be, okay?
Yes.
And I, because I'd like to draw the tourists here too, to Bay Oaks. I mean, I'd like to draw everybody here to Bay
Well,
Oaks.
when we have events,
So,
the concerts, they
yeah.
should
Yeah.
definitely be.
So I think for that, for that reasoning, I think that we should incorporate somehow this, this idea of the historic neighborhood. I mean, this is our historic neighborhood here. You've got more than Bay Oaks. You've got the historic on the national, the school is on the National Register.
Right.
You've got the historic cottages. You've got the historic church. You used to have the historic library, I guess. I don't know if you, but you've got the ball fields, you've got, and Bay Oaks. And, you know, somehow I just wish we could work that historic neighborhood concept in with whatever else we call this. It's a huge chunk of this island's history, that neighborhood. And not far away, you've got, well, next door, you've got Chapel by the Sea was the oldest church on the island.
The Art Association.
The Art Association. I mean, this is the for me, this has been the historic neighborhood. And,
How far afield does that heart go? Because would you want to include the Mound House, which in fact is
Well-
the
Technically,
oldest structure?
technically, the heart of the island does not include Mound House
Exactly.
or Newton. There's physical boundaries and.
Right.
I think it stopped right at
I think it is,
Denora,
yeah.
right?
Pearl to Denora, I believe.
Right.
Pearl and Denora is the
Exactly.
and yeah, that always interested me too, how they decided on Pearl to Denora, but I'm sorry, but this is a historic neighborhood, and I just would like to see us somehow work that in. Because I think it will help attract the tourists who come here. You know, this doesn't have to be just for the residents, although I'm very big on that, but let's get the tourists down here too. And I don't know, I'm having a difficult time with the concept too, but I just don't think we have to decide today. I mean, I don't think we need to come up with a name to give the council tomorrow.
Oh, no, I don't think we do either.
So we've got, time, and I think we need to go back, and I think we need to keep considering this and coming up with ideas. Because I think there's a good idea out there, and I don't think we've hit on it yet.
Any suggestions, feel free to, shoot me an email and I'll continue to compile a list and we can revisit it.
Well, Allison, have you come up with something?
No, I'm listening to everything that you all are saying. I have not come up with anything. The current, and I know Barbara knows this because the museum field this is so trendy of us, is getting on board with the fact that cultural centers also need to be wellness centers, and it's just a symbiotic relationship to have multiple things and not just cultural, but to have it all together. And that I know that you read that museum publication,
Exactly.
Wellness and Being, and
It's to be a whole.
it's a holistic approach.
Right.
The things that
Right.
can add to your quality of life,
Exactly.
and I think that's what we're trying to provide.
Exactly, because it's not just the art museum or the history museum, it's everything that encompasses the quality of life and the elevation and that. So I didn't really come up with anything, Lee, but wellness is a big word that people use to encompass many different things other than just it's the mental, it's the physical.
Where you
it's
go when
the
you get
diff-
sick. I'm sorry, I'm
Well,
sorry,
and-
but I
and
just, this
You bring
passes
up a
over
good
me.
point, Lee, because different words mean different things to different people. And I think that's a huge challenge. I will see when RMA, if they could come and help with this and kind of do that. So I'll definitely let you all know and see if they can join us at our next meeting.
And I think it's kind of important just to jot these names down.
Yes, I've got a
In other
list.
words,
So
Not to
does
say,
Sarah.
okay, is this block of words, heart of the island, complex or whatever. It's just putting all those words down, not in any particular order, to say, okay, this is kind of where we are. Is there some sense that can be made of that would be short and catchy and trendy?
Can we keep this on as an agenda item? For next month? And then if we have some information from the branding people,
I just sent an inquiry and I'll hopefully have an answer soon, and Sarah will share that with you all. So.
okay? All right.
Yeah, we need to keep thinking about this.
Well, and I think
Well, I don't think that we ever thought that this is something that we were going to come to a conclusion today. This was for discussion,
exactly, because that's what the agenda indicates, that this is just for discussion.
items
It's
for
not-
discussion.
It's not board action.
So,
What did Sanibel call it? The community house?
house, yeah, yeah.
I like that.
But that's just.
And that gives it a homey,
That's not the rec
I was
center.
just about to say, but yeah, that's homey.
yeah.
It was odd myself because it's not a home. It's got classes. It's got classes, culinary classes, it's yoga, the whole athletic
Not
thing.
everything.
Twice I've toured with Judy Zamambra. She's been good enough to take me twice. I bother her a lot.
Got it all.
The rec center, and I really like that place. I mean, I really like that place. And frankly, I don't care about the people who say we don't want to be Sanibel. Sanibel's got a lot of good things that we need to look at. But their rec center is a happy place. It's a really happy place. I mean, I've been in every room in that place, and they're all having a good time. Everybody's having a good time. They're laughing, they're talking. And that's what I would like to see this place be, a happy place. And also a place to understand who we are and what we are here and what this
Little
place
history.
and what this place is and how we got here. That's important to me. I think just as much as the pickleball and the summer camps, which I would like to see. By the way, a little island history incorporated in the summer camps. I would like to see our kids at Beach Elementary understand where they are and how this place got here. But I really like that Sanibel Rec Center. And whatever we can do out here to incorporate some of that, because they've been very successful. It's a very successful place. Having their partnerships with the county and school board has certainly helped when they're paying half the bills over there for the electric and the ball field lights and the air conditioning, you know, when those places are paying half the bills. It sure helps. I hope we could get that here for Fort Myers Beach. If they're doing it for them, why don't they do it for us? Well, we have the kind of leadership out here that can get that done. But I really like that place. In fact, I think I'm going to go back there soon. But I like the community house. I mean, I kind of like that name.
It's not a house, I don't.
I know, no, it's not.
And the community and the rec center, their weight room is tiny in comparison to their needs. So I didn't get I mean,
They
it's a
don't.
wonderful place, but I don't think it's as wonderful as you do.
No, I think it's a very happy place. It's a very happy place. It doesn't have to be big. It has to be happy.
Right. Okay. If there is no further discussion, we'll just have that on our, on the agenda for our next meeting. And if you do talk to them and get any ideas, Allison, we would appreciate
I will let you know.
hearing anything and just send it on to us. Okay, if that completes that report, let's go on to board member items. And Karen, let's start with you. Or anything?
Oh, I just have a question, and this came up in the meeting yesterday, that there's a separate meeting with the design group. Are we supposed to be in that meeting as well? And this has to do with the whole layout of the new rec facility and everything.
So Joanne, you can chime in on this. The M&P on Thursday is DMRP bringing forth for discussion with council. It is not an open meeting. There is no public comment, and it's not a shared meeting with BORCAB and the council. So people can sit in on the meeting. But it will be, I mean, you can watch it on YouTube, but that's when council will look at the first concepts and comment on those. So that is this Thursday at 9 o'clock. You can, but there's no public comment. It's not like our joint session. So, but absolutely. And it's on YouTube, streaming live, so you can either come here or watch it on YouTube.
Will it also be on Channel 98?
I don't believe it's broadcast on Comcast any longer, either through the town's
Just-
website or on YouTube's channel.
Okay. Okay.
So when you
So
go,
YouTube.
when you go to YouTube, what do you look up exactly?
So this is what I would recommend, is when you go on the meeting calendar for the town of Fort Myers Beach, and you get down to the calendar, and it says click here for YouTube, because YouTube is huge, and you can get all kinds of different things. So go through the town's website under meeting agendas, and then it says YouTube channel, click here, and then you'll be able to bring that up.
I just think it'd be really interesting to hear firsthand, you know, what the council is looking at, what their comments are, you know, just to have that knowledge base as we go forward. So even if we don't all happen to get on that or whatever, but as some of us, and I'm happy to be one of them, but I just think it'd be really interesting to hear firsthand what the comments.
Well, I will definitely be at the meeting, so
Okay.
I will be there, but you all, I encourage each and every one of you, and also Joanne will be there as the liaison to BORCAB.
And you'll be able to, it'll be archived as a video, and you'll have the minutes. But I agree, it's interesting to see it. And of course, we're in an interesting spot because we're in a transition in March with 3 seats, you know, so you'll get some sense of some early direction, but it's going to be underway already. So, you know, I think it'd be nice, and then you can ask candidates too, you know, how they feel about things too, for your own edification.
Sure.
So.
It'd be a good question for candidates.
It would be.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll
Interesting.
have Dan, so
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay. Jenna?
I really have no comment today. I think we really looked at, we opened the door to looking at what we can rename the rec center, and I think Lee's right. It's important that we get the name right. So I think it's important we take our time and do that. That's all I had.
I was just wondering about the property that's owned by the, by the school board. This, like a third of Bay Oaks right now. Are there any negotiations, or are they considering any negotiations about that land? Because it really is a third of Bay Oaks, you know, of the ball field, and the school board owns it behind the school.
Yes, the town is well aware of that, and as I said, they're working in early discussions with the county commissioner, and, you know, these things take time. But yeah, there have been behind-the-scene discussions, and quite frankly, the entire council has not been privy to those discussions yet. It's been, my knowledge has been that it's the mayor and the town manager working with the county commissioner and just sort of getting these things started.
Because it seems that even if we don't put a building there or a community center there, it's still part of Bay Oaks that the town does not own.
And you have to remember, we're in an interesting time right now too, because we also have, you know, we own Ocean Jewel, they own Seafarers, we're doing the traffic pattern there. So to be honest with you, it's all combined in together in this conversation about the county properties and the town uses and what best serves the county and the town as a whole. So they're tied together, but they're talking.
Good, okay. And about the design team, are they going to present plans in that meeting? Are they going to present plans for the 3 areas they've been charged with?
Yes.
Times
it's on
Square, the new
yes,
parcel.
ma'am. Yes, Becky. It's on the agenda as those 3 properties, and Sarah and I both submitted all of your ideas from that last meeting to them. So, yes,
Oh,
it'll be the
did you?
3
Okay.
properties.
Okay.
Mhm.
And is it just the parcel or the
No,
whole
the
of
whole
Bay Oaks?
campus, the whole
Okay.
campus,
Okay.
including the parcel. Mhm.
Okay.
I'm actually trying to pull it up. It's posted online now. The agenda's online. It hasn't been printed for us yet. That's why I'm not being rude and looking
Wonder
at
if
my
it's
phone.
upstairs.
I'm trying to get the darn thing to pop up so I can tell you. So
Yeah.
keep talking.
No, Joanne deserves an award for the meeting yesterday and then showing up for our meeting too.
Yes.
That's all right.
You have a rose on your
That's the
nose.
job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else, Becky?
No, that's all.
Okay. Lee?
Yeah. Excuse my impatience, but Joanne, can you tell us any more about, apparently the council hasn't been updated on the discussions with the county and the town, or the school district?
No, that's correct, because it's just an initial conversation. That's correct.
You don't know how many conversations there's been?
No. My understanding would be a couple, but there have been conversations, yes.
No.
And I hesitate to interfere in that because these things can be sensitive. I think that you start, as you know, in the past, there've been conversations, and you start in different ways, and the foot's in the door, and I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to force any more peeking at it right now.
Well, at some point, you're going to have to peak.
Oh.
Some council
Oh, yeah.
down the road is going to have to peak.
Oh,
And I know the
they
council
will.
changes next month, so
They will.
maybe the new council will want more of a peak. Two of the most important people in this are going to be a lobbyist and a grant writer. I've always been curious about the lobbyists and the grant writers for the town. Do you know much about our lobbyists, and do you have confidence in our lobbyists?
I think you should ask the town manager that. I think that would be the appropriate thing.
What about a grant writer for this?
We have a variety of grant writers on staff. Allison, aren't you part of grant writing?
I am, but, yes, but there is no number one designated person, but I do know that when we have large projects, that we could possibly have the ability to designate somebody, Lee, for that. I find it almost impossible to add new things, and I do Arts and Attractions Grant and TDC, but if we do have a large project, that I do know that the talk has been, and lots of support for designating a specific person for that purpose, so,
Okay.
if needed. So that's been kind of established and lots of support for that.
Well, I think this is something we're going to have to discuss again with council or among ourselves or something, because it's my opinion that these are two of the most important people, aside from the council, whoever that's going to be in March. These are two of the most important people outside of the council. Grant writer
Obvious.
knows where the money is and how to get it, and the lobbyist who knows how to get it or has the influence to get it. I know that Sanibel is tickled to death, or has been tickled to death, with their grant writer, who I understand is over on the east coast of Florida. They were real successful with that person. Judy Zamamer can tell you more about that. I don't know who their lobbyist is, but I talked briefly to our town manager. He's real happy with the lobbyists, I guess, we have here. But I don't know, this is a different kind of thing. If you start looking at federal and state money, because I think both are potential for the revenue, for the money.
If I may, the lobbyist that the town currently is using has done an exceptional job on the grants, and it's especially been with regard to infrastructure right now. But we've received a number of grants, and we've done well with FEMA. I have every confidence that when it comes time for this, and council directs what we know the design will be, that the town manager will know exactly. He's a very experienced individual. He'll know exactly who to call. I've been to meetings with him where there have been upper-level senators and things around. Everybody keeps running over to him. They know him by name. They'll say, oh, did you get the whatever that I did? Did you whatever? What are your other needs? All I can tell you is I can't speak for the next council, but right now I know you have somebody who will find the grant writer that you need when the time comes, if they're directed to do so.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yes,
I mean,
that
that's very
is.
good to hear because frankly, this town has a dismal history with grant writers and lobbyists, a dismal history. And so I just want to, I'm just curious to know that we have really some competent people now because we haven't in the past. And so that's good to hear that,
We're in the millions that we've brought in grant writing since Mr. Hernstadt's been on board.
well, again, my concern is, I know that we brought in a lot of state money. I don't know how much we brought in from federal, which is a different animal. And how familiar our people are with federal grants, because I'm convinced there's money out there in both sources for recreation centers, recreational purposes. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear your summation of the lobbyist. The grant writer becomes another thing, and I've never really gotten a clear answer on what we do here for a grant writer, but there was talk of in-house, I don't know.
I think it depends on the department. You have to understand that each department has its own expertise and its own set knowledge. So, I mean, I'll just pull up Mound House, for instance. I mean, you all know what Allison has accomplished at Mound House in her role within the town staff. That falls on her shoulders. And I can just tell you that the other departments also use their expertise and wherever they can to pursue grants that are appropriate for what the town is undertaking within their expertise. So it's not one overall grant writer because it's a series of different expertise. Allison's not going to write a
understand.
grant about stormwater, So there, but Allison is on the recreation right now, and so I'm sure when the time comes, she'll
Right.
be involved in figuring out
I
who
will.
would be doing the grant writing. If it's not her, it'll be somebody
Somebody
that
designated.
is selected by her and designated.
And I do have
through the-
support from the town manager on that.
In-house, somebody.
No, if it's
outside
a
of
new
us.
grant, I am not able to do that. It will be somebody designated that we have do that. I am not able to
Does that mean
do
somebody
that.
in-house or somebody outside of house?
I can't imagine it being anybody in-house. I don't know of anybody that could do that. So I think that decision would have to be made to see if there was somebody. Don't know off the top of my head, maybe. But also it's been supported that if it needs to be a separate person to do that, as that's what they do, that's also been a conversation. Exactly,
Correct.
Barbara, because as you know, that's all it's about. That's somebody who knows how to write grants.
By the way, I'm not getting this to pull up, but I do notice on the agenda on the website in the packet, it has attachments for the presentation by DRMP. They must be really large attachments because it has Bay Oaks binder, Times Square binder, Bayside Park, and a big printout. So I think it's probably a pretty big presentation. And I know I'm excited to see it, so if you're excited, come on Thursday. Let's all see it.
And I
Let's
bet
all
you,
see it together.
I bet you would be able to pull it up on your personal computer.
Yes.
Maybe not on your phone,
Yeah,
but you would
exactly.
be able to at
Because of the
least pull it
size,
up on
I
your
think it's the
screen.
size of the file that's keeping me back.
Okay. Thank you.
You're right.
All right. Lee, anything else?
No.
Okay, Barbara.
Actually, I have an article that was in the news press last month with regard to the planned opening of the first phase of the Recreation Center for FGCU, which is actually $18 million, $18.2 million for their first phase. So it's very impressive. Their grand opening will be February 7th. And so I'm very curious to see what this two-story, 50,000 square foot facility can provide to their students and their faculty. And maybe we can look at some of those for maybe ideas as we go further along with our planning. In any event, that was, I thought, very timely that they were doing this. There is a photograph that they have as the first phase, and this is nearing completion. And then the next phase, which will include an additional 75 to 80,000 square feet, has not yet been determined with regard to funding. But It will include additional basketball, multipurpose, and weight room space, as well as a spin studio and indoor climbing gym. So, it's not only happening within our municipalities in Lee County, but also within our university systems, that they recognize the importance of this as providing a value added for individuals.
They have a name on it.
No, they do, actually, they're calling it the Campus Recreation Center is what they're calling it. They don't really have an official name for it, and I think to Lee's point, the fact is that, as we go further along, when we are further along, then and Becky, did you mention that we need to have like a community involvement?
Right.
I love that idea, because that's another way for them to feel engaged and be a part of that process. Oh, yeah, it's all good.
Anything
So
else?
that's all I have, thank you.
Okay. And all I really had was, we had a meeting of the Lee County Parks and Rec. And this last time, we meet approximately 6 times a year. And our last meeting was in North Fort Myers Library. So we go to all the different parks. There are actually 13 that are divided within Lee County. And that was interesting to see their library with comparison to ours. It's newer, of course. I mean, it was just completed. But you can't go up on the 3rd floor and see the Gulf of Mexico. But it's a beautiful facility, and some of the things that they have taken advantage of, which I thought were interesting, and although we're not really dealing with library, it's still a part of our, excuse me, Lee, heart of the island, or what we're really talking about, the overall picture. And so I just thought that was very interesting. Of course, we also discussed Matanzas Past Preserve, and that's one of my things that, okay, you've started construction, where are you? And have we got any kind of a completion date, which of course they don't have yet. I didn't expect that, but you've still got to ask the question so that somebody will come back with it. But it is under construction, and we're vitally interested in that, because eventually our loop road may connect with the one that we have at Matanzas Pass. There was a time when we talked about having a bicycle walking path, keep people off of the boulevard, and how far could you go down the island without getting on the boulevard? And of course, they were coming through Shell Mound and the park, and then of course Bay Oaks area. And I just thought that it was kind of interesting to see how all of these things come back. And this again is one of our neighbors, the preserve. So it was just kind of an interesting meeting. Like I said, we meet about every other month. Would like to have them all come to the beach. That's what we do. We go from one to the other. Next time it's going to be out in Buckingham. So you can see we do a little traveling. But I have not encouraged them to come to the beach for the last couple of years, simply because of traffic and the time of year that we meet. And we don't meet in the summertime. I mean, that would be an ideal time to invite them out here. But sometime we
Might
will.
be a great time to invite them once we have a plan.
Yes, that would be great. So anyway, that was just some of the things that had come up, and since it had a vital connection to our connection, I just thought that it was important for us to talk about that a little bit. That's really all I had.
Can I missed something. Something you brought up. The Matanzas Preserve, our neighbor, it's a part of us. It's a part of,
Sure
I think it's a part of it. Whatever happened to the name Martha Red? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean,
For those of you who don't know, Martha Red is a very, I think, important part of the island's history.
she is.
She gave all that land She donated all that land that is now called Matanzas Preserve. That was Martha.
I didn't realize.
Yes, she owned it. And when the county and the state, or whoever, was it the county? I think it was the county, accepted it. They called it the Martha Red Preserve. And I don't know when or how or who changed that. But I'd like us to keep in mind that Martha Red, for me, as somebody who lived here 65 years, was an important piece of this island's history. She was a nurse who came out here with Winkler. Winkler, who built the first bridge and the first hotel, and lived in the little red brick house straight across from across the street from the school entrance, with originally no indoor plumbing, no electricity, and began acquiring land. And she had quite a bit of land when she died. You remember her, Betty?
Certainly do. And I would try to pick her up.
She was quite a lady.
Yeah, I mean, she would be walking,
Never owned a car. Yeah.
and she really did not want to ride. I mean, even though you would stop and identify yourself, and she actually would recognize you for just the moment, but she did not want to get in the car.
She was a very smart person, and very frugal person, but very smart person. And to my mind, for my money, a very important piece of our history. The Matanzas Preserve is in public hands today because of Martha Red. That was hers. There's not condominiums standing on that piece of land. There's a preserve there. And while we're thinking about naming things on the island, I'd like for us to perhaps keep her name in mind, because I think her name should be on something on this island, as it once was at Matanzas Preserve. Do you know why?
No, I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah,
But
that's,
I'd like to keep her name in mind. And I think that the two real historians of this island will tell you the same thing. Fran Santini and A.J. Bassett
right.
will tell you what I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like to keep the name Martha Red with two Ds in mind. Perhaps.
It is something that you could name buildings.
I was just about to say that, Karen.
Yeah, when you get,
Perhaps
the
the
whole
gym
thing.
or something. And I don't know what. I mean, that would, I don't know that the gym would be
Again, it's one of
appropriate,
those
but
ideas to,
She wasn't a
Martha-
gymnast, so.
Martha Red Community Center.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that you named the whole thing, but something
Building.
out here.
No, the building.
Yeah, something out here to consider. And if, like I say, if you wanted
Something.
more information, if you wanted, don't take my word for it, although I was very involved with the Historic Society out here, and I knew Martha. You can talk to A.J. Bassett, or if you go to one of their meetings, there's one
next Monday.
next Monday.
Next
At
Monday,
the
it's going to be at St. Raphael's.
St. Raphael's Church. They'll have a speaker. What, 7?
7 o'clock.
St. Raphael's,
Yep.
Monday. That's the Cerro Island Historic Society. I don't know who the
I
speaker
believe that's
is.
10th, isn't it?
And
Yes.
so you can go there and talk to Fran or AJ. Well, AJ's not well lately, but if you want to know more. I would just ask us to keep that name in mind as we go forward with this thing, because she was, I think, an immensely important piece of this island's history.
Added it to the list.
Anything else? Any other comments from anybody? I would like to ask Joanne if you've got anything to add.
Oh, no, thank you. I hope I get to meet with you at least one more time.
Well, I do too.
In any case, it's just really exciting to see everything that's coming to fruition. I know you guys have all loved Bay Oaks. Most of you have loved Bay Oaks a lot longer than I've ever been on the island. And it's just, it's an honor to be a little part of your group. But most of all, I really appreciate all the work that you do and the guidance that you give. So even though I won't be on council, I'm going to be excitedly watching all of this move forward. So thank you
Right.
so much. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, if there is nothing further to come before Sarah or Allison, do you have anything for us? Okay.
Oh, wait, now, so we're not gonna meet again before the dance.
Correct.
Now, where do we get tickets for the dance?
At Bay Oaks,
Or they'll deliver 'em.
I'll deliver it if it's in biking distance.
Drive to Bonita Springs.
He's in Bonita, don't,
Estero.
be careful. Yes,
Excuse me.
Okay,
That's Estero.
yes.
That's not Bonita, that's
I know. I know where, I even know where it is.
okay, so I can get them at Bay Oaks.
Correct, yes.
Now, is there gonna be a dance contest?
Oh, yeah,
If you're hosting it,
He's trying to win his $40 back. Come on, Lee.
Darn right I am. You gonna have a dance contest?
yes, we will host a dance contest for you.
Okay, I'm gonna go just to watch you.
Me,
Sarah, you're the judge?
yes.
Sarah, you weren't even born when the jitterbug was
Oh,
born.
brother.
That's right. And there was the day. Okay, our next meeting then would be on March 3rd
Yes.
at 9 a.m. here in Town Hall. And if there is anything further to come before us, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay,
I second Jana Holmes.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That passes 6-0. Thank you.
Okay, I have jury duty that day in the next meeting, so I will
Because I
not be
talked to
here.
somebody up at the desk, and they said, no, that's not for people
Thank you,
to go
Joanne. I'll
to,
see
but
you Thursday.
it's not for
And I
public.
saw that.
I thought, well, wait a minute.